Engines are expensive, so when you spend a ton of cash developing a good one, you'll want to get your money's worth. That's why Ducati's Testa Stretta Evoluzione, originally developed as a superbike engine in the 1098 and 1198 sports bikes, is also the heart of the Street Fighter hooligan bike, the Multistrada Do-It-All Tourer, and now the cruiser-eating muscle bike of the Ducati range, the Diavel. Here's the numbers. 1198cc Ducati L twin engine, 162 horsepower at 9500 RPM, 94 foot-pounds of torque at 8000 RPM, 234 kilos wet weight, a 1.59 metre wheelbase, traction control, 3 riding modes and ABS braking, and a whopping 240 section rear tyre that Sir Mix-a-Lot would pop a trouser chumpy for. In the production bike world, only the Victory Hammer has a thicker badonkadonk. It looks awesome, but it's a weird tyre size which makes it expensive to replace. And you will be replacing it. It's a lovely sticky Pirelli Diablo Rosso 2 on a heavy bike with a lot of horsepower. Still, this is one sexy bike. You can really feel the eyeballs as you take it down the street or wait at the lights. In carbon, like our test bike here, it looks like the sort of thing that would come shooting out of the Bat Cave. In general, I reckon they've used carbon fibre pretty tastefully on this bike. I think the tank looks fantastic. I love the front guard. But then there's this bit back here. Now, carbon fibre is sexy and sought after because it's really, really lightweight. So you can build functional components of the bike lighter and thus increase the power to weight ratio and the performance. But this one here, this is completely superfluous, so it's actually adding weight to the bike. And not only that, it's reducing functionality because any sexy chick that you pick up because of your fancy carbon fibre motorbike can't ride home on the back with you. Maybe it's a Blain thing, but I just don't get it. The double electronic dash, half LCD and half TFT, it looks pretty cool, but to be honest, it's nowhere near as intuitive or useful as the brilliant Multistrada dash. On the other hand, it does do this when you turn it on, and I'll admit that got me almost as excited as the first time my mum got a washing machine with buttons that lit up.
Yeah!
Oh, and let's not forget the keyless ignition.
Now, keyless ignition is fantastic on any bike, but especially on a bike like the Diavel, because this bike's all about looking cool and tough, and nothing's less cool and tough than putting your gloves on before you remember that your key's in your pocket. So, points on that one.
So, the Diavel looks the part, but how does it ride? The first thing you notice is that while it feels big, the handling's actually surprisingly nimble. Once you're rolling, it's a big pussycat, easy to turn, hard to fault. Its traffic manners are a damn sight better than the 1198, and a big part of that is the much lower gearing. Around town, it's a great ride, but let's bring the pace up a bit and take it somewhere a bit more challenging. Yeah, unfortunately that brilliant view's a good 3.5 hours away from town, which means we have to sit on the highway for a spell. The Diavel has a 17 litre fuel tank and it drinks somewhere around 6 litres per 100 kilometres, so on the highway you can be pretty confident you've got a 250k tank.
Unfortunately it's only got about a 50k seat. The seat unit on the Diavel here is really scooped out and fitted, which has the effect of really lifting and separating the gentlemen downstairs. And once they're lifted and separated and kind of mashed up against the tank, the engine sort of gently hammers them from underneath. Also, because the seat's so fitted, there's really nowhere to move. You can't slide your bum to one side or another. So it doesn't take long for monkey butt to set in. and once it does, there's not much you can do about it, short of sitting up here on the pillion seat. But then you lose all your kind of tough guy points because you look like you're riding a step-through scooter. I thought these problems might be something to do with my jumbo-sized arse, but Noel couldn't get comfortable on this bike either, and he's built more or less like an extra from a UNICEF commercial. So I think we can conclude that this is not a comfortable bike in the long run. Geez, it goes though. Oh man, oh, that is out of control.
It's actually fairly comforting to be squished into that stock seat around town, particularly when you're on the gas, but it gets painful fast on the highway, and the suspension only compounds the issue.
At the moment, you can probably tell from my voice, the suspension's set pretty hard. It might be the settings, or it might just be the way it is. Either way, every time you go over a bump, the shockwave goes right up your old chocolate starfish, which really doesn't help the comfort equation. Ooh. Yep, there we go.
It's worth noting that more or less everyone that's buying one of these bikes at the moment goes for the optional touring seat too, which is 40mm higher and less scooped out, and Ducati reckons it sorts out the comfort problem. What Noel and I would have given for one of these. You should have seen us fighting over the keys for the V-Strom camera bike. Anyway, finally we get to the good stuff. This thing might not be the comfiest cruiser in the world, but let's see how a Ducati cruiser handles the fun stuff with that massive rear tyre.
I guess you could say it handles kind of like a Ducati sports bike with a 240 section rear tyre. You're sort of constantly aware of the bulk of that tyre. It's always there, just sort of pushing back against you as you hold a cornering line. In fact, there's almost a kind of security feeling in knowing that there's this huge amount of rubber joining you to the road. In fact, given the size of this tyre, this bike probably handles a little better than it ought to. There's a lot of things sort of better than it ought to, but the trouble is you find that gives you a fair bit of confidence, as if the bike's sort of making promises to you. Don't worry, buddy, you can tip it into that corner, you can go a bit quicker. It's when you start doing that it starts reminding you, actually, I'm a tyre that'd be more at home on a Kenworth 18-wheeler. One thing you notice very quickly is just how far off the bike you have to get to make this thing handle. Like, whoa! You gotta really wrench it around, throw your body side to side. It's not that it's not fun, it's really good fun. It's just that if you're used to riding with a bunch of mates on sports bikes and you turn up on one of these, At the end of the day, they're going to be waiting for you at the end of the twisties.
Does it out-corner other cruisers? Most certainly yes, but it's not a cruiser. That engine just constantly demands more gas, more revs, more speed. It's the opposite of laid back. And it can't really keep pace with sports bikes or naked bikes in the twisties either, so you can't really call it a performance machine. In fact, it kind of dawned on us as we made the long trudge back to the city. Maybe we've been looking at this bike wrong all along. Maybe it was never built for a 2-day twisties fang or a long-range tour. Maybe we should take it down to the beach and let it shine in the job this bike was born to do. Looking badass.
Ah yeah, Gizmag in the house, baby. Yeah, come on, tell them who it is. He's Captain Cool. Oh, he's Mr. Funky. Come on, tell me now, boy, how you get so funky.
Baby girl, how you doing? You like my ride? You like my fat back end? Yeah, I like yours too, huh? Hey, why don't we take this conversation somewhere a little more private? Why don't you just jump on my back? Oh wait, there's a big piece of carbon fiber covering my back seat. You know, carbon fiber. Build the space shuttle out of it and shit. So yeah, why don't you just get a taxi back to my place and, hey, where you going, baby? Hey girl, come back here.